everyone, it's FarmSimGuy here, hope you're all doing well. We are back to look at, I think, one of the most groundbreaking mods we have seen in FS22. It's over 2 years now since Terrafarm was launched, and I'm back today to have another play with it because I use it all the time still. It's still one of my favourite mods, and I think it needs a little bit of a reintroduction to some people who maybe weren't here at the start of FS22. Like I said, one of the most groundbreaking mods I think I've seen in FS22, and it's still alive and well. SCFmodding, who originally created the mod, isn't working on it as much as he used to anymore. He does have big plans to release a newer version at some point in the future, but as with modders, they do it in their spare time and for the love of it, so other things getting in the way, he can't get to spend the time on it that he would like at the moment. But that's not to say what we have available to us at the moment isn't absolutely brilliant. So we're going to have a jump in and we're going to have a look at it. I'm going to start now though, the caveat at the start of the video, I'm sure I'll get some comments anyway. This is a PC only mod and is likely to be a PC only mod until such time that the console makers decide to change their policy on scripted mods. It does use a lot of scripts to make this work. But that being said, let's jump in, let's have a look at it, let's go through things again, because a few things have changed since my original videos way back when. A few things have changed, there are a few more tools out there, and I will have to give a big shout out to FS Miner as well. We've got some of his equipment here, the Komatsu excavator and the Komatsu truck there, and the Volvo truck hiding behind there, and also we've got a couple of other things down here. We've got a bulldozer and we have a roller, both from FS Miner as well. I will put the links to these in the description, so you know that what you're downloading is already for Terrafarm. But let's jump in, let's have a look. There are hundreds of machines now. FS Miner particularly has made a real effort to keep updating his machines and making sure that they work with Terrafarm out of the box. And there are regular updates to Terrafarm too. So if you go to SCF's GitHub page, which I'll put in the description as well, you can download the latest version. It will work with a lot of FS Miner's mods. It's a bit of trial and error sometimes. You'll find mods that don't work and some that do, and it's not always clear if they're Terrafarm ready or not. The good thing is that you can add your own vehicles to Terrafarm as well, and Alex SCOM has done a great little video showing how you can add new vehicles to Terrafarm, so I'm going to put a link to that in the description as well. So you've got everything available for you to work it out, and hopefully you can have a bit of fun with it. But let's go over the fundamentals of the mod again and just show you how clever this is. So let's jump in and let's get stuck into some stuff. Right, we are in our Komatsu excavator here. I will say as well, I'm using a mixture of my steering wheel and I'm using the Sim Task Farm Stick from Thrustmaster as well, just the one. And all the controls work very, very well for that. So there we go. There is our excavator. You can see on the front of it there we have those little grey dots on the end of the bucket. Now we have got debug mode set here just so you can see when it's switching on and off. You can turn that off if you want, and to get to the Terrafarm menu you press the I button. So there we go. A couple of options there. Enable Terrafarm is the global state for all Terrafarm vehicles you have in your game, and debug mode, which we have switched on at the moment, and you can actually see those grey dots there. You can turn that off if you don't want to show those, and there we go, that's what it looks like without them. For the purposes of this vid, I'll leave it on, but obviously entirely up to you what you want to do with that. Now behind that as well, a whole myriad of different options available to you, and you can turn certain things off. Disable discharge, so if you don't want to tip any materials, you can turn it off if you don't want it to repaint the ground. So many different things. You can leave field removal, so at the moment disabling field removal is off, and I'm going to show you that in a little while on the map as well. You can change the material that comes out. Whatever's in the game that you're playing on, or the map that you're playing on, it will appear here. So if you've got extra fill types, they will appear here as well. We are on Elm Creek, so we've just got the standard game stuff here, and you can even adjust the radiuses for each of the digging spots, so you can dig a bigger hole if you want to. Again, paint layers as well. When you're terraforming and discharging, you can change as well, so we'll look at those in a little bit more detail as well. But for now, we're going to leave everything as it is, and we're just going to have a little bit of a dig. So like I said, We're here at the moment. Terrafarm is not activated, so if I push this bucket into the ground, nothing happens. Now, you'll see as well the bucket disappears into the ground. That is a setting in Terrafarm as well to make things basically a little bit smoother when you're digging under the ground. So see, although we've not got Terrafarm on, so it's not doing anything at the moment, you can dig under the ground without it throwing the machine everywhere. Now, you can, if you want to, and I'll pull up the menu for a second, you can add the bucket collisions by pressing X. So we're going to do that. And I'm going to go down now. You'll see the difference. See? Throws the machine all over the place. So you don't really want that. You want a little bit more smoothness than that. So we're going to press X again to turn that off. Now, if you've got a huge pile of material that you've dug out of the ground, you might want to turn that off. Or if you're doing mining where it's already predetermined that the ground is deformable and you can pull it out, you might want to leave bucket collisions on. But for the purposes of this today, it works better if we have it off. So there we go. That works better for Terrafarm. Right, next up we're going to look at the top right hand corner. You can see two things there, Terraform and Discharge. So Terraform is when you dig into the ground. So when you put your bucket into the ground, what do you want the bucket to do? In our case, it's set to material, and we probably don't want that. What we want is to probably change the ground as we do it. So what we need to do is press the Y button, which will allow us to scroll through this. So it goes from material to lower the ground, to flatten the ground, to smooth the ground, or back to material. Obviously we've got an excavator and we're digging a hole, so we're going to go lower. Now discharge, we can do material, and again if we press the B button to scroll through these, you can do material, you can raise the ground, you can flatten the ground, you can smooth the ground, or you can paint the ground. Notice there isn't a lower there because you're obviously moving. This is the second part of, you've dug already and you're unloading a bucket, so they haven't put lower in there because you wouldn't really have that, would you? So we're going to leave it on material to start with. Now what we're going to do is we're going to dig a hole. Now to dig a hole, you need to turn Terrafarm on. Now to turn Terrafarm on, you just hit the O button. It's simple as that. There are 5 buttons that you need to know for Terrafarm to get all of the access to all of the parts of it. So it's relatively easy to get a grasp of. So O to turn it on. There we go. And you can see in the top right hand corner, then I'll turn it off and on again just so you can see, the colour of the name of the vehicle has changed to blue, and the Terraform and Discharge icons have brightened up as well. So there we go. Turn it off and on a few times so you can see how that is. And basically we push the bucket into the ground like so, rotate it, lift it back up, and you can see that the ground deformed slightly there. And we can roll over here and we can unload, and we'll see we get our material on the ground. So now I'll spin back. Now watch the ground a little bit more if you can, and you'll see it slightly deform as we dig the bucket in. So we actually are making a hole in the field there. Let me just close that bucket so it doesn't tip in the wrong place. But I can rotate down and unload this next to the other pile, and we can just keep going like this now for hours. Like I said, I'm on a single joystick here. If you've got dual joysticks and you've got your setup a different way, that's totally fine. But once you've switched Terrafarm on, however you like to control your machine, it will work very, very easily. So there we go. We've dug a little bit of a hole now, and we've got some material over here. Now I want to show you just one of the other ways of doing it as well. So what we'll do, we're going to change our discharge method. So that's pressing the B button. We're going to change that to raise ground. So let's say we wanted to build a hill, but we didn't want to build a hill out of material. So we'll go around, we'll just keep digging. So we're still, when we're digging, we're lowering the ground still. So you can see there, we've lowered the ground. We still have a bucket full of material, but rather than dumping material now onto the ground, it's going to raise the ground. So do you see that? It's lifted the ground up rather than giving us material. So let's go back in. Let's take another bit out of the ground here. Back over here, and it'll raise the ground again. So there we go. Now remember, we have the options before to change the paint layers. So again, let's go into the menu, press I. Now we can go down here and change the paint layers. So let's say it is dirt when it comes out, but when we discharge it, we want it to be, let's say, wet mud, just for the purposes of something that looks very different to what we've got there. Let's dig down again into the bucket. Let's spin around here. Now this paint texture, when we unload, will be different to what was there before. You see that? We've got wet mud there. So you can play around with what you want to unload. So if you were, let's say you were role-playing, digging out a riverbed, you would probably want something like wet mud to appear when you unloaded it, like so. Right, I'm going to stop that there. I'm going to jump out because I want you to see it does actually appear a little bit more pronounced when you get out of the cab. But that's a mighty hole, that is. Look at that. And there is our raised ground that we've created by unloading. And you can see wet mud. It's even splashing as you walk over it. So there we go. We have material over here from the other pile as well. Now I do want to show you something else very quickly. This is the Volvo excavator from the Platinum expansion pack, the smaller one, the 380. FS Miner actually has a bucket that works with this that is available in the official mod hub, but this is not Terrafarm ready, the one from the mod hub. But what it does do is allow you, if you've unloaded a load of material using a Terrafarm compatible machine, what you can do is use a standard bucket now to load and unload things. So let me just demo this now. Let's just open this a little bit. If I roll round here and dip this into here, we can fill a normal bucket that isn't Terrafarm ready with stuff that has been dug up by Terrafarm. Not bad. And we can just tip it into the truck, like so, and you can see you've got material in the truck which you can take to the gravel crushing point or to sell somewhere else, however you see fit. And like I said, this is a base game map, so limited additional materials or no additional materials. But on certain maps where you have additional fill types, you can start having some real fun with this. There we go. Another load in there, just so you can see that it's working. So that's pretty cool as well. So anything, any kind of front bucket on anything from a telehandler to a wheel loader to an excavator should work to pick up these materials. Right, that's enough for the excavators. That's a pretty quick whistle-stop tour of how Terrafarm works, and works very well. It does work very well indeed. Now, a couple of other options here. We have got the Dozer, and we have got the roller. Slightly different, these. They don't have some of the settings. Same principles apply here as we fire this up. Turning Terrafarm on and off, you can see the colour changes on those debug circles, and the name of the vehicle changed at the top. Now, in terms of discharge, you can only discharge material here because it's a Dozer. If you drove it forward into a hill, it would move material out of the way, or you'd be scraping material off the floor. In terms of your Terraform options, you can flatten, you can smooth, you can paint, and you can discharge material. Now, you see there wasn't a raise option, because you wouldn't tend to raise something up with a Dozer. It won't subtract stuff as well, so it's generally going to flatten or smooth. So that's pretty cool. So basically, if I drop this down, and again, we can change the paint layers here if we want to. So you can also, where we've got material, if you don't want material to come out, let's show it with material first, and then we can see it after we turn material off. So we put our blade in the ground, and there you go. We are moving forward, and you can see there that we are starting to produce material at the same time, and at the same time we are flattening the ground in front of us. Now, the more we flatten the ground, the more material we produce. So at some point, you're going to have to either get out of the way or lift up like so, unload, and move backwards out of the way, like so. So that is one of your options with that. Now, if you don't want material, I'm going to move this out of the way slightly. If you don't want material, you could potentially use the roller, and we'll show you that in a minute. But the other option is you can go into the menus here, and one of your options is disable discharge. So prevents the creation of material during terraforming. So I can turn that on. Now, we can just go in and smooth things, and as you can see, oh, it's still producing discharge. There we go. Oh, it's an animation. There you go. But it's not actually producing material. And as you can see, as we get further in here into a more... Oh, that's quite clever. I like that. So it does work, but maybe not as extreme as it did before. That's interesting. So it doesn't discharge it out the sides until you've finished. I like that. Even I'd not worked out how that's happened. So, there you go. I'm still learning. So we'll roll backwards out of the way here. Like so. Nice. So we'll turn that off. Now, let me show you the roller, because the roller's one of my favourites. You may have seen this on my episode of Court Farms a while back. The roller is cool because you don't get any material discharge. See in the top right hand corner there, all you've got in your options are flatten, smooth and paint. Flatten, smooth, paint. So if you wanted to flatten something like we just did with the dozer there, you could just let's find somewhere that's going to give us a little bit of an indent by the time we finish. Let's turn it on again. So O to turn it on. You can see we're rolling, we're doing some flattening as well. So again, the slower you move, the better the finish, which makes sense, I guess, doesn't it? You don't see rollers tanking along at 50 miles an hour. You see them rolling at, 1 or 2. It's a vibrating roller, this as well. That's just for effect, though. It doesn't actually have any physical difference in how it does it. But there we go. You're probably at a point now we'd use a dozer rather than a roller, but I'm using it for effect here, just as part of the demonstration. But as you can see there, we've got a nice flat bit of ground, which is good now. If you wanted to, you could switch this now to paint. So we're not going to do anything in terms of affecting the ground level here, but we're going to paint. So what I want to do now, let's go back to the menu here. I don't want to paint dirt though anymore, because we're creating a path. So let's go with pathway, shall we? And look, as I roll forward now, you can create your own path. So if you want to create your own roads and things like that, here's a great way of doing it. Now, if you want your pathway to just follow the contours of the land, well, we can do that too. What you'd maybe want to do here would be switch it to smooth, and then it will roll with the contours but not give you any sharp edges as well. So if I head down here, you can see we're rolling with the shape of the ground across this slightly undulating area, but we're not getting any... There you go, there was a nice big bump, and it smoothed it out nicely. Just one little thing to note as well, as you can see on the map here, when you use Terrafarm at the moment, it actually removes it and stops it being a field as well. So if you want to reshape your fields, make your fields smaller, something like that, or create a farm within a field and you don't want the crop to go back in, this is one way of managing to do that by stopping it being a field. So you can shape your fields that way as well. Now you can also turn that off as an option in here, so disable field removal will prevent the removal of fields as well, so you've got that option available as well. So again, lots of flexibility. So you've got lots and lots of options and ways of playing with Terraform, which is very, very cool. So there we go, get back to the end. Switch it off. Now, if I drive around, because I've switched it off, it won't do anything at all. Clever, that. So there you go. There are your tool options for Terraform. Like I said, get the right tools, get the right equipment. It is very, very easy to use. Like I said, it's being maintained, so more vehicles are being added all the time. But if you find a vehicle that isn't included in Terrafarm and you're feeling confident about adding it yourself, like I said at the start, there's a very good tutorial from Alex S.com on how you add new vehicles to Terrafarm as well. There we go. I'm glad I've had another look at this. It's been a while since I've used it, and it's just reminded me what an incredibly clever, intelligent mod it is. So, here's hoping that it does continue to get developed over the near future by SCFmodding, because it is fantastic, and it just, I mean, talk about immersion, talk about doing something that we never thought we'd be able to see in FarmSim in terms of deformable ground. Of course, it's working within the boundaries of the game engine, but I think the fact that he's worked it out and is able to make this happen the way it does is very, very clever indeed. So, there you go. Terrafarm, once again. If you've never played with it, go and check it out. It's so good, and if you've played with it before and maybe forgotten about it, or it's sitting in your mod folder and you've not turned it on for a while, here's a reason to just go and have another little bit of a play with it, because it is fantastic. Okay, that's it from me for now. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Take care. Bye for now.